Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with Racing Girls Rock podcast, sponsored by the Women's Motorsports Network and the International Women's Motorsports Association. My guest today is Valerie Wilson. I will be happy to share with you some things that Valerie is interested in motorsports. She's got her Go Fast Girls t-shirt on, which I love. They're one of our sponsors. And so, Valerie, I want to start by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, whatever you're willing to share.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I got started in racing. I was probably introduced to it as a newborn. My dad, he drag raced cars. He had I think it was a 1957 Chevrolet. And so right from the get-go, I had the adrenaline junkie gene. So there was no doubt whatsoever that my brother and I both got it. He had my brother driving go-karts at 3 and racing at 5. So that tells you what kind of adrenaline dad I have. But my dad's really gotten me into anything he wanted us to support us, anything that we wanted to do. What got me into motorsports, well, at first I barrel raced horses. So I was that adrenaline junkie. So I did race, but it was a different kind of racing. And when I was off barrel racing horses on another circuit, and my dad is racing hydroplanes. So he's on another circuit. Now, racing hydroplanes, you go all over East Coast, Midwest. We could go farthest west, but I believe furthest west we've gone is Illinois. And I was like, I'm missing my family. And I was trying to, my brother was racing stock cars at our local track here at Langley Speedway. So all 3 of us are racing, my poor mother. So all I had to say, one time I went to a race with my dad. We were watching the T class, which was the smallest class at the time. And I was like, hey, Dad, what do you think about me selling the barrel horse, had a quarter horse, and buying a Tboat, getting a Tboat? Boom. He was like on it. I mean, I don't even think there was a question or whatever. It was like, sell your horse. We'll find you a Tboat. The next thing I remember is going to Jersey and getting one of the old, it was called an initial blast, and it was fast at the time. So we got that one and brought her home, and couldn't think of a name for it. And we were like, at the time, I was 19 when I got started in hydroplane racing. And there was about maybe 3 women. Yeah, I can think of 3 that were racing hydroplanes at the time. So back then I say back then, I feel like I'm so old. That was 1989. So I wanted everybody to know that a girl is out there racing. I'm like, Dad, let's paint it hot pink. And he was like, all right, whatever color you want. So I want to know everybody, just so everybody knows a girl's racing. And that's how we came up with the name Pink Panther. And we stuck with it. And that was called Pink Panther Racing. And I graduated onto a higher class, faster, and another boat. Sold the old one, and got into the I call it the beast, and it was Pink Panther 2. and raced that for many years. I went at 16 seasons, was racing up and down the East Coast for about 3 years. My dad raced for 22 years. So 3 years I was following my dad up and down the East Coast, all the way from Valleyfield, Quebec to St. Pete, Florida. I mean, he had the motorhome and his boat, and I had his van and my boat. And we were both like racing at the same time. I don't know how we did it. I really don't know. Now at this age, I'm just like, what? And finally, about, after 3 years, my dad sold his and retired his racing career, and just helped me full time. My dad was my engine builder, my crew chief. He was my everything. I could build the boat. he could do just about anything. We do have I had a carburetor guy that's local, right here at Langley Speedway. And he's still, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I have somebody who called me, local guy here, Langley Speedway. We would take my carburetor to him when we were really starting to run up front, and I could actually give it to him and tell him exactly what it's doing, what the jets are. Yeah, I think we need to go down on the jets because we're not getting enough fuel, or I could actually adjust the float. At one time, I could probably build the top part of the motor with my dad. If we're at a race and we need to adjust the temperature gauge or make sure the fuel filters, nothing's in there. There's so many different little things that are involved in it. But we race everywhere. And the traveling, it's weird now. I just retired from driving in 2018 and still held on to her boat for another year. Then the pandemic happened, so we kind of still had it.
Yeah.
And we decided, me, Dad, I don't think he was ready. It's in his garage, but he wasn't ready to let it go. But I'm just like, Dad, let somebody else enjoy it, have fun. We like, to have another wet boat out there and to increase, the amount of boats on the course. So wet boats on the course. So that's really cool. But we drove from Valleyfield, Quebec. That was a fun race. That was, I would say, one of the biggest races that, as far as like 100,000 people would show up. It was unbelievable back then, or still now. And like the whole town shuts down. Everybody comes to the races. When you're driving by, you wave, and literally it's like a seawall of waves coming back at you. I mean, it's just amazing. The water's pretty choppy up there, so if you get a win or do kind of well up there, you're doing well. But we ran for we were running for national high points really rigorously, like 2 years in a row. And that means you have to go like every single race. You've got to try to beat the person that's going for number 1, 2. And I had one guy on the East Coast, and I had one guy on the West Coast I was trying to beat. So I was like right in the middle. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And came in second both years, but that's okay. And I thought, for a girl, and I kept saying that, for a girl, that's not too bad. But what the only I will tell my story. The year that I really tried going for number one was, and I no fear whatsoever, none. Now I think about it, I'm like crazy.
Yeah.
I flipped it. What we were going is 9 of us out on the course going into turn one. I got lane one, and because we're timed on the course, we have like 10 minutes to warm up. And then everything is calculated and timed perfectly. So you have to pick your lane. And of course, the inside lane is the shortest way around the course. So my dad like drilled that in my head, like from a young age, right when I started, get that inside lane, get that inside lane. And I always drove in traffic. Like I always, when I started, I always had 12 of us on the course. There were always 12 of us. And that's what I strive for. 12, I mean, getting that inside lane. So when I was in this accident, going for number one, it had the inside lane.
Yeah.
And on the Ohio River, it was pretty nasty. Rollers everywhere, and there were 5 of us, 9 of us, I'm sorry. And the guy I'm trying to beat, he's out this way and comes in and goes around. So I hit his roller and it just blew over. And so I missed that. Thank goodness, I was okay. After I came to and got myself out, a guy clocked me. I was underwater, minute 30 seconds. And I was like, I know, right? I came up gurgling. I think about it now and I'm like, oh God.
Scary.
Yeah, like the PTSD comes back and you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you almost drowned.
Yeah.
It's like, But
Yeah.
at the time, we're trained on how to get out because we're in a 5-point harness. We've got our life jacket on, helmet,
Yeah.
neck collar, everything. And our safety team on the East Coast is number one everywhere, all over the United States. Well, we were Midwest and when this happened, and they don't come to your boat until all the boats on the course stop. And of course, I was running up front, and I was like, I came to, and I got myself out because of the training that I got from the East Coast Rescue, Region 4 Rescue.
Thank goodness for that.
And yeah, Kenny Smith, man, I like owe my life to them. I mean, he told me, just tuck your head under. I'll never forget that. Tuck your head under and push as hard as you can, because you have to actually go up underneath.
Yeah.
Because you have the flotation also.
Right.
In your life jacket.
Yeah.
And it felt like 20 minutes.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah, but boy, I came up and was like, okay. And I'm swimming around going, where's rescue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to let it was a 16-hour drive out there. And usually Mom didn't come to that far of races. She usually only went to the 4 to 6 hour away.
Yeah.
She was there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Well, probably there for a reason, when you look back, it's like you're glad maybe she was there. So yeah,
that is so true, because I do remember that I had blown out 2 holes in the boat, so it blew out 2 big holes, and it was upside down. So my dad had attended that.
Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do when that happens? You're pretty much done for the weekend then, or?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Of course, the egotistical me and the racer, I'm in the ambulance and I'm like, I'm fine. I'm not going to the hospital. I'm good. Yeah, I didn't break anything, so I was good. Because
Right.
the necklace, I never wore a necklace after that. Was embedded kind of in my neck, but
Oh,
other than that, the next day pneumonia set in. But
oh,
I was in the ambulance, and I do remember looking over, and there was my mom, and that was really, really special to have her right there.
yeah,
My dad was down,
yeah,
with the boat. But yeah, we lost the points that weekend.
yeah,
And the cool part, this cool part. Well, we missed the following weekend because Dad's patching it up. We had two big holes in it, and we go back out in Ohio, Rocky Fork, Ohio, and I'm running up front, and I'm like, talking to myself going, Valerie, you're okay. You're okay. And
uh-huh.
then I'm looking at the flags and all the green flags still on the race courses. I'm making sure, I'm like, are you serious? Are you really? And everything's running up front because it's pretty, your reaction time has to be fast, and we're going
Yeah,
fast. Not, 90 plus 90 average speed. And I won all weekend and won my first, that was the North American Championship. So that
yeah,
2 weekends after I flipped. So
yeah. So it's true that, what we always hear, you got to get back on the horse. And in this
that's
case, you got to get back in the boat, because if you don't, the longer you contemplate the accident or what happened or what could have happened, then you start thinking about all that. So getting right back into it was probably the best thing that could happen to you.
Yeah, for sure. My dad, yeah, he's always taught me, and my brother, and they've always said anything, if I had an accident or something,
Yeah.
suck it up.
Yeah.
That was their quote for me.
Right.
Suck it up, girls, suck it up.
Yeah.
But it is true. And it's just like falling off the horse. You just got to get back on. And I
Right.
really did have to get back in. But to win a North American Championship
Yeah.
that weekend after that was just so bizarre. It was that I totally will remember
Yeah.
the rest of my life. And it goes down in the history books, and kind of
Right.
cool,
Yeah, for
So
sure.
we came in second in the nation that year too. So pretty much we're in the top five all the whole time.
Yeah.
I raced this past 2016, 15 to 18. I took some time off because I had some neck issues, and had my brother drive for a little bit. My nephew drove, Ryan Wilson, and I got back in it. I was just like, yeah, I felt better. Just felt
Yeah.
like, well,
That's awesome. So what is your favorite thing about being in that boat and, racing hydroplanes?
mm, I tell you, it is that 10 minutes out there on the course where nobody is bothering you.
Uh-huh.
Everything is heightened. All your senses are heightened. The adrenaline is just kicking up. Like it's a love-hate relationship. Right before you're getting ready to go, I literally would almost fall asleep in the cockpit because I just wanted to fall asleep. But once you got up on plane, it was like the best feeling in the world. I mean, I had no other way of letting that release go
Uh-huh.
when I quit. When I
Right.
literally had to retire, I'm like, what am I going to do now to,
So what are you doing? How did you replace that?
well, I knew I was going to kind of stop driving, but friends of mine were on a stock car racing team, a late model race team at Langley Speedway. And I would always stop by their pits and, hang out with them, and I would take pictures and stuff. And I started co-hosting Let's Talk Racing with Roger Brame. So we started doing that. So I started getting to know all the drivers, and because I would recruit them and have them come on the show.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, no, I started hanging around my friends more around the late model race team. This certain race, Danny Edwards is late model race car. And soon enough, he's like, well, I'll be darned. Valerie's to wipe down the car and she's doing this and that. And I'm like, they have no idea the knowledge I have. And
Uh-huh.
they don't know what, I know how to change the jets in the carburetor. Matter of fact, his motor guy is a boat racing. He builds most of boat racing motors, but that's his engine builder.
Okay.
And he had to take the carburetor out one night, and he's like, you know how to do this, come here. And I'm like, it was pretty cool to help him.
Yeah.
Instead of like a little carburetor like mine, he had the big big.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was really neat. But I am on that I've been on his late model race team now this will be the 5th year.
Okay.
It replaces that adrenaline. It doesn't replace, getting behind the wheel.
Right.
I don't wish to race cars. I tried it. I
Yeah.
did. Well, I tried to, it's called a powder puff
Yeah.
when the girls are out there. And I don't think you want to race against girls and
Yeah.
on asphalt if they don't know what they're doing.
Right. Right. That's dangerous, really.
It was pretty, I got hit pretty hard and
Yeah.
did a couple 360s going down the front stretch.
It's not bumper cars, but it kind of is like bumper that. Cars. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. So you've still got your hand in racing. You were very successful in your hydroplane career. I interview a lot of young gals that are under 21. Mm-hmm. You and I are both over 21. So what kind of what kind of legacy have you left racing, as a woman, showing other women that they can do it? What would you say your legacy is?
Well, I would hope that, I still do it now. At the Speedway, I like to help the young girls, even just to support them.
Yeah.
If they need mentoring or just to go over, and I know what it's like to be in a man's world racing.
Yep.
No matter what, you can come to me with anything. It's hard because all eyes are on you.
Yes.
No matter what, a woman racer will have 20 more thousand people, million eyes on you than that guy will. So
and a lot of that too is because there's so many guys.
Mm-hmm, that's
and
exactly
so the having the eyes on the woman, you kind of pick her out from the crowd, and then mm-hmm. I think a lot of people look at the woman on the track to see how is she going to react when she's mm-hmm. racing against the men. What happens if she does get hit?
Right.
Does she cry? Does she get out of the car and have a hissy fit or whatever?
Yes, they critique them pretty bad at the racetrack. I've noticed that a lot, and they can push the girls, or try to push the girls out.
Yeah.
And it's like when I got started, they were pretty easy on me the first year. Mm-hmm. And then when I started winning, they were like,
right.
Yeah, screw that.
Yeah.
They'll do whatever. Yeah. They
well, and especially, yeah, you're right. The more successful you are as a mm-hmm. woman, the less likely that you're going to be given any kind of slack. And really, you don't want that. You want to be treated just like everybody else when you get in the boat, the car, the truck, whatever you're racing, but
I do like the fact of helping younger girls and helping mentor girls. I've helped a, a, a girl that's matter of fact, have her she races, well, she raced trucks, and I'm not sure if she's going to go into it's called a limited division. So she does have the race car, and she's tried it, but I'm not sure if she's going to be running it this season. But one of my favorites right now is she's Riley Rondo. Oh man, she's just I just love her to death. She's 9 years old, and 9 or 10. She's driving the little bandos, and I just, she's just adorable. So every time I make sure I go over there and see her right before either she goes on the track, or when I get there, I'll make sure I go in the outside pits and see her, talk to her, see how she's feeling. And she's always just like, I'm good. She's got sportsmanship of the year. That
awesome.
Yeah, it was really like awesome. She had a pretty bad wreck. And right where in the turn I was standing in, and I think about it now, and that bothered me. To know that she was out there. I can't imagine the moms.
Right. It is hard. Yeah.
But the moms in the racing, wow. I mean, I've got to give them a lot of credit.
Right.
I mean, dads too.
Yeah.
But mostly them, I've got to give it over to the moms that stay cool.
Yeah.
And they're not freaking out. Like her mom she's just so laid back, and she's like, it'll be all right.
And that probably, that helps in the long run. Having your mom freak out doesn't really help if you're in a wreck, or if you're ready to go out on the racetrack for just a normal race and your mom's freaking out. That's not a good thing. So, I mean, my daughter's pretty laid back, and but she gets nervous when her girls go out on the racetrack. But as they've gotten older, and she knows that they can pretty much handle themselves, she's much more laid back and relaxed when they do go out on the track. And so I think it's a learning curve for moms too, not just the girls or boys who drive. Moms have boys that drive too. So, you have to stay calm and collected, and it's hard, I'm sure, sometimes.
I've seen a lot of moms go off, and their boys are 20 and up. And
right.
Like,
exactly.
I'm like, oh boy.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were successful in your hydroplaning. You're doing a lot of things now, it sounds like, with a successful team in racing. So the adrenaline junkie that your dad fired in you when you were your little girl is still there. Is your dad still around? Is he still involved in racing of any kind?
He's thank goodness he's still around. I won't tell his age, he'll kill me.
Okay.
He still thinks he's 20 up here. And going up on up the ladders, to get on the roof,
right,
or on the top of the motorhome, and I'm like, what are you?
That's typical dads.
Because now I'm the daughter that I want to watch out for them.
Right. And then does your brother still race?
He doesn't race anymore. He has a demanding job that takes all of his time, but he did race for quite a while. He won a championship one year. So
that was
awesome.
Pretty cool. You had a good family time, with your brother, your dad. Lots of good memories of your racing. And what I think of is, my son was actually the person that got our family into racing. And I think about all the things. We have so many good memories from having fun at the racetracks or different places that we traveled to, and just funny things that happened. And those are things that nobody can take away from you. And I think, racing gives families the kind of, you're more cohesive, you do more things together as a family than a lot of other sports do, because, like my son played baseball in the summer, my girls play basketball. Those are not things that the parents and other siblings can actually really help with or get involved with. You're just a spectator or supporter. Where racing, you can, even as a little kid, you can find a job for your son or daughter or whatever, even if it's scraping tires or wiping the car down or whatever. Yeah. And so I think racing is a sport that can bring families together and keep them together longer. And you also see the generations that race. It's, dad raced, I raced, my kid races. And it just goes generation to generation, where you don't see that necessarily in other sports. And so
that is true. And that is so true in hydroplane racing. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
How I grew up with the guys that we were, 9 years old, and they're still in racing. They're actually retired.
Yeah.
Working on their hydroplanes, and their kids are racing, and their kids are having kids.
Right.
And I'm like, wow.
It just keeps going.
It just keeps going down the line.
Yeah.
I love it. The family, the boat racing family, I mean, they are like a second family to you.
Oh, yes, for sure.
And it's amazing, because Langley Speedway now they're becoming like my second family now. I'm not traveling and doing the boat racing anymore, and kind of want to stick with, the Langley Speedway. And it's just so many great people out there. And it's a totally different vibe too.
It is.
Yeah, it's totally different. But I love it.
So have you started racing yet at Langley, or is it coming soon?
This weekend is our opening weekend.
Okay. All right.
So that is good.
Yeah. That's going to be exciting. We'll hopefully have a good summer of racing all across the country. I hope the weather cooperates, and COVID's hopefully on the back burner for a while, at least as far as letting racetracks operate at full capacity and all of that. So I'm glad to see all that's back, and hopefully we're going to be back to full speed ahead with racing. Yeah. So Valerie, is there anything I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share about yourself or your racing, or advice for women who want to get into racing? Anything at all?
One thing, if you make sure you wear your safety equipment. And that is one thing that it's huge. That is just amazing. And it's amazing how it's gotten better and better. That didn't sound like English, right? But the more as the racing has come along, like with the Solos and the Indy cars,
all the improvements they've made to the equipment.
Yeah, unfortunately, my neck now is kind of screwed up just a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm gonna have to have surgery, and have that neck fusion done. But
okay. Well, I have a back fusion, so I can understand that. So you know what? It is what it is. But
and I'm like, I did it to myself.
Yeah.
My nickname is Valsky, and I used to also downhill, like black diamond skiing. Skiing. So I was always that, whatever daredevil thing I would do.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. You have a lot of good memories from all of that. So that's awesome. I love that. So if we came to Langley Speedway, we'd find you at
inside the pits at Danny Edwards Racing.
Okay.
Yep, number 26, and also his brother. He races as well, Greg Edwards, and he's the number 21 car.
Okay.
We'd be right in the middle, and come on out.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story. it's a good story. It's a story that shows that, you know, you had a lot of passion and you went for it. You didn't let anything stop you. And that's what, you know, we want to show other women or other girls that you can look at a sport and I don't care if it's racing or football or what we might consider a man's sport. You know, there are times that women can fit in just as well, either maybe even through coaching or refereeing or whatever. And so, you know, you've set a good example for women and you've shown them what it takes to do what you did. And then you've left a legacy. And now you're helping and mentoring other young girls at Langley. And that's the gift that you have, Valerie, is that you're sharing your knowledge and your passion for motorsports. And so I appreciate that you are still involved and you take the time to do that.
Thank you. I think that means a lot. It really does. I have no other way of life. Racing is my life.
Uh-huh.
I absolutely love it. I have 2 dogs and a cat.
Okay.
And a boyfriend, and I just still I can't get away from it. I
Right.
love my
It gets in our blood, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I've been following Jimmy Johnson forever, and
Oh,
now
yeah.
I'm following him on the Indy circuit. So I went
Sure.
to Nashville last year.
I was in Nashville last year too.
At the Music City? No way.
Yes, I was.
I had a blast there.
I was in turn 11, I think.
I was in turn 9.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I wish I had known.
I wish we'd have known each other then. We could have met up in person, but that was my first Indy race.
Mine too.
And we're going to the Indy 500 now in May. And so I'll have checked that off my bucket list because the Indy 500 was on my bucket list. And so I'll check that off, and then, you know, I'll go down the list and see what other tracks and races are still on there. But
that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, well, Valerie, I hope you have a good rest of the weekend and the rest of the summer. You know, stay in touch. I'd love to stay in touch with you. And as you find these young gals that you're mentoring, I'd love to, you know, be able to feature them in the magazine or the podcast. Yeah. And so make sure you reach out to me and let me know about them and connect me with them, because we want to connect and celebrate women in motorsports. That's what we do at Women's Motorsports Network. So thanks again for your time, and I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.